We don't get to see. We never get to see anything cool.
When you collect a knife like this, is it obviously
That's lame.
Yes.
and then once you collect it, can it be processed or sent to the GBI lab sometimes to see if there's any fingerprints or other evidence in that?
That is correct.
And oftentimes fingerprints and things like that is to determine who held it or who used it. Is that right?
Yes.
And is it in the shape that's in the box? Is that y'all don't try to clean it, change it, do anything with it? It's just it is in the shape that was found from the scene. Is that right?
Yes.
And then do you secure it?
I'm sorry?
Do y'all secure it to make sure it's properly packaged?
Yes.
And do you know about how long the blade is, or do you have an estimation about how long the blade is?
I believe it was less than, right at 3 inches. It wasn't very big.
Okay. And it was a knife with a set, is that right?
As best as we could tell, looking at that particular block, I believed it to have come from that block downstairs.
As you look at the knife today, is the blade open, it's not covered with anything?
Remember?
Correct, the blade is
It's a
open.
serrated blade with a sharp blade on it, or appears to be,
It's non-serrated.
not serrated, but I guess a fine blade, if you would.
Yes.
If you go ahead and just package that back and close it for us.
Oh my God, we did see it. They did do it. Let's go.
If you can do me a favor, just take your time, and if you can just, the photographs I've given you, if you could just put those in order for me.
They are.
Judge Mathroach.
Yes.
Pretty 7 heavy here.
At one moment, Your Honor.
That's fine.
Further questions this time, Judge?
We're going to take a short recess. Stay upstairs, don't go downstairs, but we'll take a 10-minute bathroom break, and we will resume back at, well, it'll be a little more than 10 minutes. It'll be 4:15. We will go till somewhere between 5:30 and 6 this evening, just so you'll be aware of that. But we'll let you be in recess for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. We'll finish up the day. So we got like 20 minutes left. Finish up the day, and then we'll pick this up tomorrow. Guess we can do this, so hopefully get no. Go for 4 of a kind.
Mr. Kessler?
Good afternoon. Just have a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Your job now, you've held different jobs throughout your career, as you testified to earlier, correct?
Yes, sir.
Detective at one point, investigating cases such as this
Yes.
many years ago. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Your job now, however, is to basically to document a scene as you find it, and to set the evidence as you see it for purposes of a criminal case, courtroom.
In this particular case, yes, sir.
Yeah. And primarily what you did in this case was photographs of the injuries that you saw with Hannah at the hospital and photographs at the crime scene at the house. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you did collect some pieces of evidence pursuant to the search warrant as well that you turned over that were sent off to the crime lab to be examined by GBI crime lab.
I turned him over to Canton PD. What happened to him after that, I was not made aware of.
But you collected them.
Yes, sir. I did do the initial collection.
You collected the knife that you have testified to as Exhibit 83, right?
Yes, sir.
You collected the
Okay.
sheet that was on the mattress in the room, right?
Yes, sir.
And you also collected the some swabs of blood from the blood stain in the car.
I would have to look at my evidence control record, but if it's listed in there, then I collected them.
Okay. Let me, may I approach, Judge?
Yes.
Officer Shaw, I'm going to approach with a document that I was provided in this case. Can you look at that and identify what that is?
Yes, this is the inventory that we left with the search warrant.
Okay. And it does list on that document you and Lieutenant Ballard. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Is it possible that Lieutenant Ballard took the swabs of the carpet, blood stain on the carpet?
No, one of us collected them.
Okay. But do you recall doing that yourself?
I don't at this point, no, sir.
Okay. But it's fair to say that those are the 3 items that, pursuant to the search warrant that you took, you, and I don't mean you individually, but you and law enforcement took from the home that were turned over to the Canton Police Department in their investigation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you turned those over to Canton, you didn't have any say-so with Canton Police as far as the nature of what they did with it. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you know who the lead detective was in this case?
I believe it was Detective Cruz.
Do you recall how many conversations that you had with her about this case? Or did you have any?
I did not have any, no, sir.
Okay. So you didn't have any
There you go.
impressions to her about any of the items of evidence that you seized from home?
Correct.
Okay. You took photographs of a couple of handprints on the sheet in the room, is that right?
Yes.
And you found those.
Can't really pass up gold seal.
From a documenting perspective, because it showed some signs to you that there was movement in the room,
Yes.
right? That was your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many people were in the room before law enforcement arrived?
I do not.
You were not aware of that when you were documenting the scene at all?
Correct.
Okay. Were you aware where,
Use that for now.
example, Hannah, the child, was in the room and where Chloe was in the room when law enforcement arrived?
No, sir.
Okay. So you weren't aware who, if any, one was on the floor or who was on the mattress specifically?
Correct.
So you're not clear when you're documenting that scene whose blood that is that you're photographing, right?
Correct.
It could have been Hannah's, it could have been Chloe's, it could have been a combination of both of them, is that right?
That's a fair statement. Yes, sir.
And I presume that you never conducted any interviews of any of the people that were in the room, Mr. Spillers or Mr. Benyamin?
No, sir.
Okay. You testified that your job.
Interesting.
I think I had these right. You said your job was to get a full documentation or thorough documentation of the child's injuries when you were at the hospital. Is that right?
With respect to
At the hospital, yeah, okay.
And when you got to the hospital, who made you aware of the nature of Hannah's injuries?
the deputy coroner.
And that was Coroner Sims?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she had already evaluated the baby at the hospital by that time that you got there, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. She is the one that informed you that the injuries that she observed to Hannah were the photographs of her neck that you took photographs of, right?
Correct.
The injuries in her neck that you took photographs of, I should say that right. 2 puncture wounds on the top part of her neck and another laceration below those, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those were the injuries that she described to you, and that's why you took photographs of them.
I would have taken the photographs regardless that she described them, they were there, but yes.
Okay. You didn't take any independent evaluation of the child's body yourself.
What do you mean by independent evaluation?
You didn't look at any other parts of her body to determine any other injuries to photograph. That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
You did? Okay. Did you take photographs of
Yeah.
her front as she was laying on the bed and also of her backside of her body?
I'd have to look back through all my pictures, but that's what we do when we document a decedent in the hospital or anywhere for that matter. So we take pictures of all.
Okay. You recall writing a police report in this case too, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And have you reviewed that police report before you testified today?
Yes, sir.
And you noted in that report the 3 puncture wounds on the neck. Is that fair?
That's fair.
You recall saying in that report that these were the only visible injuries on the victim that you observed?
That I observed, yes.
Okay. And no one else at the hospital, ER staff, Coroner Sims ever described or identified to you any other injuries that you would have taken pictures of. Is that fair?
Yes.
And if there had been other injuries that somebody would have indicated to you, you absolutely would have documented them in your investigation of this case. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One second, Judge. I think that may be all my questions. That's all I understand.
Just my follow-up.
Yes.
Counselor asked you about other injuries and things like that, but to clarify, the state that Hannah was in when you observed her, that was the state that you found her in the emergency room in that area, is that right?
That was the state in which she presented in the emergency department.
And then the next step would be
Okay.
Hannah would go, her body, there would be an autopsy done by the GBI, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so whatever, and they do a little bit more thorough examination of the body and things like that.
Yes.
and they would take their own photographs and document that. A doctor, medical doctor, would document all the injuries that she had on her body. Is that right?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Any further cross-examination? Any reason to keep the witness? Thank you, sir. You're free to go. Our next witness, please.
Lindsay Harris.
I just want the extra money. I have everything. Because it was easily gonna do that. I need to keep scaling, Square Joker. Alright.
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Now see. Can you state your name?
Lindsay Harris.
All right. And Ms. Harris, how are you employed?
I am the commander at the Cherokee Sheriff's Office in the Intelligence Division.
Okay. And what does that mean?
I manage a unit that encompasses intelligence analysts that provide investigative support, as well as digital forensic acquisition and crime analysis.
Okay. And what does it mean to be in digital forensics or intelligence?
Various things, but ultimately there's a side of intelligence that extracts data from devices, whether it be cell phones or computers, and then there's the analysis of that information.
Okay. And so you indicated you're with the Sheriff's Office. What role do you play in sort of providing support services for other law
That's
enforcement
okay.
agencies within Cherokee County?
So in particular, digital forensics, the tools we use are very expensive. So we purchase them at the Sheriff's Office, and we often assist other agencies that may not have the personnel or the equipment to do so in extracting devices.
Okay. And when you say extracting devices, what typically are you talking about?
So yeah, the term extracting is simply you take a phone, for instance, and you plug it to a piece of technology, and you follow some prompts, and it extracts the contents of the device.
Okay. And can you tell the jury a little bit about your background and training that sort of allows you to perform the functions that you perform?
Sure. I've been at the Sheriff's Office right at 7 years, where I've been an intelligence analyst as well as a digital forensic analyst. Prior to that, I worked 8 years at a federally run Drug Enforcement Administration task force. Again, there I provided investigative support and intelligence analysis as well as digital forensic analysis.
Okay. And in order to, have you testified as an expert in digital forensics before?
I have.
Okay. And in order to hold or maintain your status as a digital forensics expert, what type of trainings and continuing education do you complete?
We're continuously training to keep up with emerging technology. In particular, I'm a certified criminal intelligence certified analyst through an international organization. That organization, you have to test and you have to do peer review essays. You have to have specific training courses as well as time on the job. I have a master's in public administration. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, and I'm also nationally a real-time crime professional, which is a national certification as well, and a cybercrime intelligence analyst certified.
Okay. Any idea how many cell phone extractions you've
Damn,
completed in
okay.
your career?
It's hard to give a number, but hundreds for sure.
All right. Your Honor, at this time I would tender Ms. Harris as an expert in digital forensics.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. You mentioned that you offer support services to outside agencies. Does that include Canton Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And specific with the case that we're here today for State v. Chloe Driver, did you have any interaction with Detective Cruz about assisting on the intelligence side in processing any evidence that was collected in this case?
Yes, I believe Detective Cruz and Sergeant Hamilton reached out to a corporal at the Sheriff's Office and asked for assistance in the extraction of, I think, 3 devices relevant to this investigation.
Okay. And do you, can you tell the jury what those 3 devices were and whose devices they were?
Sure. So the 3 devices were all listed on an evidence control record, as well as provided with a search warrant. In order to drop off any phones to our laboratory, you must have a search warrant, which gives you the legal authorization to conduct the extraction, as well as the evidence control record in which we sign and take possession of the phone or phones. In this case, it was 3 different devices. They were labeled P1 through P3, and they were for Sarah Stiles, Brian Joyce, and a Chloe Driver.
Okay. And so were they all 3 cell phones?
Yes.
Okay. So Brian Joyce, Sarah Stiles, and Chloe Driver?
Yes.
All right. And when you use the word extraction, like what actual process are you using? And
We'll get rid of our access cards now.
a device such as an iPhone?
So you mentioned iPhone, but every device is a little different. Even two iPhones can be very different because they're on different versions or they're different models. But the term extraction, again, is just the physical taking of data from the device into a system that reads it and then decodes it in a way that we have a report
Nah,
that's
we're okay.
easily analyzable. But we use technology, and we have two different systems that we use depending on the device. Again, a lot depends on what type of device, what version of the technology it's running, and other factors include,
Yeah.
has the device been powered off? Has the battery died? Does it have a passcode? Is it in airplane mode? All of these different factors definitely make a difference in what can be extracted.
Okay. What if you have an iPhone and you don't have a passcode? What are the options to get into it?
So we do have some technology that does what's called a brute force. That's where the technology constantly tries to do different patterns and.
Yes, we can try this real quick.
I guess jailbreak, in common terms, the passcode. And now
Well,
that's
I'll get some extra money for
sometimes you
now.
get just general information as far as serial number and phone number, email sometimes if you don't have a passcode. Again, if the system's successful in jailbreaking the phone, you could get a full extraction without a passcode.
Okay. When you say jailbreaking, is your system just running random combinations of numbers until it's
Correct.
successful?
Not ideal, but we'll take it, I
That
guess.
can take months.
Okay. I want to talk to you. You said that you received 3 devices from Detective Cruz. May I approach the witness? I'm handing you what's marked as states 115. Do you recognize or know that device?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it?
This is the device, I believe, labeled P3, which is Chloe Jarvis.
Actually, do you want that?
And I did put mine.
Literally every card we play gets molts.
And did you receive a search warrant to complete a forensic evaluation and extraction from this device?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this time I tender states 115.
Any objection to 150? It's in there.
Let's play high card for a second.
An extraction, I know you indicated like there's a lot of technology involved, but on a basic level, you're plugging in a device into very expensive technology and generating and pulling data from something. What do you generate that can then be provided to the case agent or the investigator?
So after the acquisition of the data is made, we do create reports based upon the data that is pulled.
This is like a
Using
cool
different versions of
process.
formats. So we oftentimes create a PDF report. We create what's called a UFED reader report. It's simply the name is given by the company. It's called Celebrite, and the Celebrite tool is the one that decodes that data that's extracted from the phone and provides it in a report. The UFED reader, it gives you some options that a PDF is great in the fact that, you know, it's easily searchable, control find, if you will, but the UFED reader gives you more categories. So if you just want to look at chats, you can click it, and it's almost hyperlinked within there.
Okay, so when you're looking at something through the reader, is the UFED reader almost like an application that you can navigate through the phone data?
Correct, and
Okay.
it's similar to PDF, it's got hyperlinks again. And the data is the same in both reports. You cannot manipulate the data at all. You can just sort of focus your efforts a little bit better.
Okay, so that kind of leads me to my next
Prepare
question. You
and
said
see.
once you extract that information and provide it to the case agent, like whether through the UFED reader or the PDF, can that data be manipulated or modified in any way?
No, the actual data cannot.
Okay, and as it relates to this case, did you create both a PDF report as well as provide the complete extraction with the UFED reader to the case agent?
Yes.
Okay.
That
and
works,
do you know
though.
How many pages your PDF report is that you generated from the extraction of this phone?
For this phone particularly, I know it was over
Easy
8,000
5 times.
And Your Honor, this time I would tender states 116, which is the PDF complete phone extraction.
And 16 is admitted.
116, sorry.
I'm sorry, 160.
Okay. So the over 80,000 page PDF report is a lot of data from this phone. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the other version of that information that is provided to the case agent. Through the UFED reader, you indicated that you can kind of hone in and narrow it to just text messages or just photographs, things like that. Does the UFED reader application allow you to generate smaller reports based on certain search terms or certain date ranges or certain criteria?
Yes, that's one of the pros of the UFED reader. You have the ability to filter down the large, vast amount of data into what you're
Right.
looking for.
Okay, so in the UFED reader, if somebody wanted to look at all of the data that you extracted from the phone and just put in the search term kill, would it generate a report of all the times the search term kill was found in the phone?
That's correct.
Okay. And when
Which you can do on like Discord and shit.
go through and generate.
It's
those
not
reports,
as
does it in any way modify
Biggest
the
scale.
data
It's
that
only,
you provide?
you only do that in like certain servers, not just like You can do it, and you can only do it in like certain channels, things like that. Whereas like they're pulling everything or something like this. Every fucking thing. It's kind of nuts, to be honest.
No, it cannot modify it. It just, again, concentrates, isolates the data into a separate report.
Okay, so you're just taking the large amount of data and creating more digestible, specific reports from that large data?
Correct.
Okay.
It's fine.
Do you, in some instances, actually go through and analyze and sort of comb through the data to look for certain evidence?
Yes, that's more of the intelligence analyst side of it, of the actual analysis of the data.
Need some
It
deaths?
totally depends on the request that we receive.
Okay, is it uncommon for investigators or individuals that seek your assistance in extracting phones to do that themselves, so to speak, to comb through the data you provide them and you don't actually get into the substance?
That's not uncommon, again, especially in an assistance type case.
Okay.
But there's times we are asked to do the extraction and the analysis, and there's times we're just asked to pull as much the extraction.
Okay, and in this case, what were you asked to do?
This was just an extraction request.
Okay, so you extracted it, you provided all the data and the UFED reader to the case agent, and did that conclude your involvement?
Yes.
Okay.
Rain chat's always nice.
All right, I have no other questions.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
You also did extractions on the two other phones in this case, correct?
Yes.
All right, and one of them belonged to the Benjamin Ben Michael?
I had it as Brian Joyce.
Okay, and were you told that he goes by both potential names, or?
I wasn't told very many specifics about the case.
All right, do you remember what kind of phone that was?
I have it in my notes here on my report. You're asking specifically about Joyce?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that was a Samsung device.
Okay. And you generated a Cellbrite report based on that extraction as well?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately how many pages that report ended up being?
I do not know.
I said somewhere in the nature of 8,000 pages, would that be?
8,000 pages. Okay,
I
all right.
don't recall the exact number, but
Makes sense. Yeah,
extractions range from various amounts of pages.
makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
if the report indicated it was an advanced logical 12-10-2020 report from that particular.
Oh
phone,
shit! I didn't flip them. Oh, you knew one too.
Report generated from Mr. Joyce's phone.
Correct.
Okay, and then you also generated a report from Ms. Stiles' phone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and, well, let me back up. With Mr. Joyce's phone, did you have a password for that one?
It was a pattern.
Okay, and do you recall how you were able to get that pattern?
It was provided by the detective that
Okay. Do you remember
phones.
approximately when you received that?
the devices.
No, the
Dude,
pattern.
this feels like the second time that we've seen the like defense kind of do this whole thing with the data grabbers specifically, where they're like, well, what was the process of you getting like consent for the phone? And they're like, well, the detective gave me it and told me to pull it, that we were good, they had consent. Okay, well, but are you sure that they actually gave consent? And it's like, well, that's not their job. They're given a phone. 9 out of 10 times they're given a phone and told, okay, hey, we need data off of this. And then their job is to literally just fucking pull data off of it. You know?
Ma'am?
So when they drop the phones off with the search warrant and the device and the electronic control record, they also fill out what we call an electronic media retrieval form.
Okay.
This gives me all of the information as far as the contact information for the detective, any suspect information. Again, if there is a passcode, they write it on this form. And I also use this form to notate when I do certain steps as far as downloading the phone and what reports I run. Again, I received that phone on December 9th.
On December the 9th?
Yes.
Okay, and then you also did the cell phone extraction for Ms. Stiles, correct?
Yes.
And that was another iPhone, correct?
Correct.
And did you have the password for that one?
Yes.
Okay, and do you remember approximately how many pages that one was?
I do not know.
Okay. If I told you that one was 107,610, would that, do you have any reason to dispute that?
I would not.
Okay, so you don't have any dispute as to what's contained in those Cellbrite reports with respect to Mr. Joyce and Ms. Stiles is also being reports that were generated or information that was generated based on your work in this case.
That's correct.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any redirect? Any reason to keep the witness?
No, subject to potential recall of the defense for purposes of today. Excuse me.
You are excused. You're subject to recall. Call your next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state would like to break for the day. The witnesses that we have lined up for tomorrow are medical witnesses that cannot be here this afternoon.
That's
All right.
wild.
I told you we would go past 5. I was wrong. We are going to adjourn for the day. A matter of housekeeping that you might want to know is that tomorrow we are going to provide lunch for you, so that the lunch recess may be a little bit shorter than it was today, but we'll make it easy for you. And
All right.
hopefully
Cool. Let's finish up our. I mean, so to be fair, that's usually that's usually what we see for the first. Who did that? Hi, Solar. Hi, Boo Boo. That is always usually the first fucking first day process is like confirmation. I do love that one too. Confirmation of like evidence submission. Getting a lot of the detective and like the very kind of boring stuff out of the way in the first. Tomorrow for High Crime Thursday, we should be getting into the like actual like spicy shit. My throat feels awful. I tried smoking, regret the choice to. So, edibles. Easier said than done, but edibles. You missed it. You missed a good run. You missed a good run. How was stream, by the way? I saw you were live. I was lurking. Lurking the whole time. How was it? I'm so sorry. I would ask if you want to. Nothing to write home about. Oh, that's fair. I mean, no. Fucking nothing. I don't blame you. So you gotta take care of yourself. Gotta take care of yourself. That's right. You're in time to hang out for a second while we work on this run. Up. Think that'll work? Let's do a card. Play this real quick. I was gonna say that should be our winning hand right there. Oh yeah, blue seal me up, baby. Woo! Four of a kind. Okay. Ooh, yes, please. Nah. More monies. As much as I'm a big fan of Vagabond, just deep down. Oh, what? What's up? What are you owing me at? Okay, alright, sounds good. You know I'll answer it. You know I'll fucking answer that shit. Ooh, I love this beat. You want me and Nikki to smoke for you, Bean? Bum, bum, bum.